Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. All right, joining me via Zoom. The last time that we had Wess Moore on the pod, he was hours, maybe minutes off of breaking one of the biggest college basketball stories basically of this century, John Calipari to Arkansas. So we figured we'd bring him on. You know, if you want to break John Gruden to Arkansas at any time in the next like 20, 25 minutes, whatever. But let's go. First of all, Wess Moore, More Sports on YouTube, and of course, hosts Out of Bounds, which is every single day, Monday through Friday. 1 to 4 Central Time. And let me ask you this. First of all, how are you? We don't get to talk as much as I'd like, but are you doing good? And I'm guessing you don't have trouble filling up 3 hours on Out of Bounds every day here these past couple of days.
You know, Aaron, it's crazy because I went to the game Saturday. I was in Fayetteville and, you know, we were excited, sold out crowd, 75,000. The atmosphere was awesome. A flyover, Arkansas gets the ball, they go down and have to settle for a field goal. And I was like, man, that's not the way. You know, I talked about this on the air. They need to go down, score a touchdown, get the momentum, get the crowd involved, get the defense going. And it was the opposite. You settle for a field goal, and it's like, and then sure enough, defense, bam, 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 touchdown. And then it just quickly got out of hand. And the next thing you know, I think it was 35-13, Aaron, and it was almost halftime. I was like, I got to have a drink. And so I went to the concession stand and grabbed a beer. And while I'm standing in line, Arkansas fumbles. And then the screenplay, and it's 42-13. Mm-hmm. And before I even got my drinks, man, I saw all these people coming out of the concourse, and I was like, beat them before they got to their, get in line to get the drinks, right? No, they just kept on walking and left. And I stayed for a couple of drives in the second half and went to the tailgate party. We had a huge tailgate party, and we just started having fun. What the shame of it? We're outside the stadium at a huge tailgate party, thousands of people around. You can see nobody. I mean, the tents are full of people, and you can see right through the stadium, right there, a sliver of the action. And inside, there's nobody there watching the game. Everybody's outside tailgating. And the bad thing about it, they weren't even watching the game, Aaron. Wow. People were watching A&M and the whatever game, they just had lost interest. And so in my mind, I'm thinking this next week or two is going to suck. I mean, we're got to talk about this team and how bad they are and just the effort. And I was just not looking forward to it. But then the more I started talking to people, getting texts, I was like, you know what? This is it. This is the nail in the coffin. They're going to make a move. And it was clear to me by Saturday night late that this was going to happen. And so then all of a sudden it just changes. It goes from having to talk about a bad performance and the team struggling to a coaching change. And you're right. It just totally changes the content for this week, next week, and the future of the show.
Well, really quick, by the way, you mentioned having a drink. We're recording on Tuesday night. Now, I bring that up for two interesting reasons. One, I'm having a cold beverage. We might not run this until Thursday. So one, if we run it in the morning, I don't want people thinking, listen, there's nothing wrong with day drinking. Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific might not be an ideal time to start. But also, I'll also add this. Coaching search time is not the real world time. So we're recording Tuesday night. So if we run this on Thursday, it'll be 36 to 48 hours. So we're recording in real time. If stuff changes, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at Wes. We're just talking in real time about this Arkansas thing. Stuff is going to move fast, and then it's not, and then it is, and then it isn't. But let's get into it. First of all, what you said to me is so interesting. I observe this as an outsider. What I've said consistently, I think, the Memphis thing was really bad. And what I said that day, the next day, this week, last week, whatever, was I think the noon Eastern, 11 Central start time was as detrimental as anything else because not the win-loss, but, I think there's been this perception. I don't know if you've heard the outside noise of there's been this perception of, well, it's Arkansas and it's hard to win in the SEC and, be grateful for Sam Pittman. And listen, let me just do the caveat off the top. You covered Pittman. You know him better than I do. Great guy, great person, great human being. Nobody's criticizing the character or how bad he wanted it to work. But at a certain point, you do have an obligation as maybe the highest paid state employee in Arkansas to actually deliver wins. But I bring it up because I think the Memphis game really crystallized, oh, this isn't an overzealous SEC fan base demanding better. This is functionally there's something not right. And then after all of America watched that on that Saturday against Memphis, because remember, the Clemson game was rained out. It was in a lightning delay. The Texas Tech Utah game was a blowout. That was the only game that was on TV. Everybody saw the meltdown. Then everybody saw the Notre Dame game. And so, yeah, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but I do feel like I got to a point on Saturday afternoon because, like I'm saying, I'm not trying to criticize other people that do this in our business, but I saw a couple of the, they may wait a few weeks to knock down the buyout. And I'm like, it's done. It's over. You can't, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but it just felt like by halftime Saturday, there was no salvaging it. And then I know you were at a tailgate, whatever, but you could take it whatever direction you want from there.
Well, I'll say this, and I did the math. I bet 40,000 people left the stadium in the second half.
Wow.
And if every person spent $20 in the second half, and beer's like $14. So, we're being conservative. But if everybody spent $20, that's $800,000 they lost in the second half. Now, think if they keep him and then Tennessee's bad, and you're just keeping him for the buyout to go down, from 75% to 50%. And they actually negotiated it to 62.5%. But you keep him just so you can get down to that 50% of the buyout, and nobody comes for A&M, nobody comes for Auburn, nobody comes from. How much money are you losing? So you were going to lose that anyway. So you might as well cut the cord, and maybe Petrino catches lightning in the bottle, and you get good crowds for those 3 games in October at home.
Yeah, I think that's something that I have sensed as well, is that I think people are going to show back up. I think they want Petrino to succeed. I think, even the people that don't want Petrino as the full-time head coach, they want him to succeed. So let's get into the search right now. And let me just start by asking you this. Where are we at, not with candidates, but internally, what does the administration hope for in a future head coach? Obviously, we know Bobby Petrino's in the mix, but I guess, let me even backtrack. Who do we think is making the hire? Because I'll just say this, and you and I have talked privately, but I live in LA. You come visit all the time, never hit me up. Another conversation for another day. UCLA. It's pretty well known in town among the people that actually care about UCLA football, which is not many. The AD may be on some search committee. He has no say in whatever. Do we know yet? I know Hunter Yurachek at his press conference on Monday said, as far as I know, I'm making this hire. Do we know yet who is either going to have final say, first say, making the contact? Is Hunter Yurachek still reaching out to ADs and this and that? How is this search going to look here over the next couple weeks?
I think this search, what it needs to do is involve some of your big money boosters who are either going to contribute more or a lot more, depending on who the hire is. I'm not saying you let them decide the future of this program, but look how it worked with John Tyson and Calipari. If you can pull something off similar to that, then you shock the world again. Can you get some boosters involved to say, I haven't been giving as much, but I'm willing to give X amount of dollars if you go get this guy. And it truly is a guy you want. You can't have, and I'm just throwing out Gus Malzahn. If there's somebody that says, hey, I want Gus Malzahn, I'm going to give you X amount. I don't know if that plays for the rest of the state. But if it's a guy who says, you know what, let's shoot for the fences again. Let's go get Dabo. And I'm not saying it, but I'm throwing out a name that would excite a lot of people that might get some boosters go, we'll step up a lot what we're giving if you can go get a guy like that. And so I would include those guys because the game has changed. Coach Broyles would be rolling over in his grave if, you're letting boosters decide, or have a say in who you want to hire. But the game has changed. You got to have money. And that's one of the things at Arkansas with Coach Pittman. And that was the argument. He didn't have enough money. And even Hunter Yurachek admitted Wednesday he didn't have the tools to be successful in the SEC. The argument is it was because people didn't trust in Coach Pittman. They didn't trust if they gave more money that he could go and get better players and succeed. And so there was that hesitancy to give Well, now you got to find a way for people to give and believe in that new candidate. So I would involve those guys. And I think you do. You have to, in this day and age of college football, get a feel for some of your more important donors out there, because it can make a big difference in the money that you have for the hire and then the money you can spend on your program.
Yeah, no, I think it's been interesting kind of watching other people talk and speculate about the hire, and it's like, oh, Arkansas is this, Arkansas is that. And then, there's the dynamic of we know that the money's there. And it's so funny you bring this up because we talked about it on my Tuesday show of I'll give you a basketball example, but NC State, when they fired their previous head coach, it's like, oh, what's the NIL situation? Then it's like, well, Will Wade comes in and basically has whatever he wants because people believe in him. And I think probably I would assume it's the same at Arkansas. Now, with the Hunter Yurachek thing, a two-part question. He had his comments a few weeks ago about people are going 70 and on the highway and they're really going 90, but they're only supposed to go 70. I guess the money would go towards a coach, but I guess let me even ask you this: have you yet heard anything one way or the other about how his comments, the Hunter Yurachek, the AD, and I think mostly people watching this will be Arkansas fans, but AD basically came out and said 2-3 weeks ago, hey, we're not ready, or we are not right now able to compete at the highest level. And that's where I think that's the most underrated part that nobody's talking about this search is if I'm a prominent head coach, which is obviously what Arkansas wants, and I have my choices, and I just heard the AD that is going to be my boss say that, one, I'm either worried that I'm not going to have the resources needed, or two, I think as importantly, I'm going to worry, is the guy that's hiring me right now, the guy that's sitting as the AD, going to be the AD when I get here or in a year from now or in 18 months from now? I'd just be curious. I know how the comments played with Arkansas fans, and I defended fans that were frustrated with those comments. Behind the scenes, how, as much as you could share, I don't want to get in trouble with any of your sources in the administration, but those comments just, I haven't met anybody yet that was like, oh yeah, no, those comments were totally in line. Like it just felt like something, even if you mean it and you think it, you shouldn't say it.
Yeah, you shouldn't. That is something you say in front of some of your big donors. That's a conversation you have with them and say, we need you. You don't say that to the Little Rock Touchdown Club. That's like it's a rally. It's what it is. It's a Razorback fan base rally, and you're telling them that. It did not sit over well at all, and it didn't sit well with the Board of Trustees. In fact, Friday they had a meeting. Hunter Yurachek was at that meeting and explained himself to the best that he could. I've been told some of them understood and got it. Didn't mean they liked what he said, but they understood what he was trying to say. And then some others just didn't like it still, period, that they're upset with that he chose that forum to say that kind of thing. And he presented a lot of data. Matt Jones with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, wholehogsports.com, was presented and has published a story that showed that Arkansas ranks near the bottom in the SEC in head coaching salary, near the bottom in coaches' salary, near the bottom in recruiting salary, near the bottom in a lot of categories in spending. And so that's his way of showing the board, guys, we got to do something. We got to change something. And for the first time, Aaron, and it came out in the press conference Monday that they may be thinking about, the board may be thinking about the University of Arkansas system of funding some of the athletic department. This has been a self-contained athletic department, not taking any money from the university. Everything they spend is money they bring in. And there are a lot of schools. There aren't a lot of schools that do that. And with the times changing, Arkansas may be looking at that avenue, kind of like, who was it? Was it West Virginia Tech today or West Virginia? Can't remember which one. Their board of trustees voted to, over the next 5 years, give like $280 million. So,
wow.
But that's where we are. I mean, in the arms race with money, that's what is needed. And so that was his way of saying, well, yeah, we need money. Here's the examples. But then you can always go back and say, you're the athletic director. That's your job.
Yep.
You're supposed to be raising this money. Why isn't there a name on the University or Reynolds Razorback Stadium anymore? I mean, it's still Reynolds Razorback Stadium, but the Reynolds family has dropped that sponsorship. It ran out. They didn't drop it. It just ran out. There's a title sponsor out there to be had. That's a chunk of money. What's going on?
Big chunk of money.
Yeah. And so that's the question. That's some of the heat he's getting. That's your job. Raise the money. What are we doing? And what is the plan? That's what people want to know. Okay, it's broken. How are you going to fix it?
Okay, so kind of a follow-up to that. What was I going to ask? I'm all over the place today. All right. So I guess what my question would be as a follow up to that is, so it didn't land well with boosters and everything like that. But my question is this, is it did come out on Tuesday that Arkansas was kind of in the middle of spending and this and that in the SEC. So this was going to be my question, is this is my sentiment. You can disagree. A fan member, an audience member can disagree, whatever. Is there any reason, because again, the national sentiment, I think up until the last 2 weeks was 6-6, deal with it, be thankful for Sam Pittman. Is there any reason that Missouri can mess around and win 10 games every once in a while? That Ole Miss. I mean, we're talking about teams that have historically been in that second tier of the SEC. And I guess my only question would be, is there any reason outside of maybe boosters aren't giving because they don't believe in Hunter Yurachek that Arkansas can't, again, and I want to specify something before I throw it back to you, Wes, and I'm rambling, but, I can't speak for everybody. The Arkansas fans that have commented to me, that have reached out to me, I have yet to meet anybody that's like, we should be 12-0 every year and beating Georgia. Bring on, we want Bama. I've yet to meet that person. Maybe that person exists. I'm not on message boards, so I don't know. But I just bring it up because I think in this 12-team playoff era, what's cool is that if you have the right coach, the right funding, and stuff has to go your way. But you can be Indiana. You can be SMU. You can be Ole Miss. You can be Missouri, who 2 years ago in the last year of a 14 playoff would have made a 12-team playoff. So I guess the only point I'm trying to ask, I'm terrible at asking questions without giving a 4-minute preamble. Is there any reason that if Missouri's winning 10 games every 2 or 3 years and Ole Miss is winning 10 games every 2 or 3 years, that Arkansas can't be the same, and at the very least with the right coach, every 2 to 3 to 4 years be in that conversation for a 12-team college football playoff, or obviously 16 if we end up getting there?
You nailed it, with the right coach. With the right coach to get the fan base excited, and to throw it back, the first Bobby Petrino run, that was a team. If it would have been the college football playoff back then, they're in it for 2 years in a row. So with the right coach that can rally the fan base, the donors, Arkansas can be a team like Missouri or Ole Miss that, they're not going to be Alabama, Georgia, Texas, or something like that. But with the right squad and everything comes together, you can be a top 12 team. And I don't think anyone's thinking it's going to happen every single year, but they're good enough, and this state is proud enough that they could support something like that. And you're exactly right. But Arkansas should not be a team where it's been for the last, since Petrino. You had a year with Bielema, you had a year with Pittman that they won 9 games, counting a bowl, but those are too far and in between.
Kind of as a follow-up to that, I understand the SEC has gotten tougher. It has for everybody. Texas and Oklahoma are there, 9 games coming next year. But conversely, because I've heard people argue, the Arkansas job is. I think you can argue because of NIL, because of parity, because of the transfer portal, it's a better job than it was maybe when Sam Pittman took over, certainly when the coach before him took over. Do you believe, just your personal opinion, do you believe that, yes, the landscape is tougher, but the dynamics have changed with the 12-team playoff? You could be the third or fourth best team. Do you believe it's a better job today than maybe it was even when Sam Pittman took over in 2019 into 2020?
No doubt. And I've said this several times. I'm going to tell you, Sam Pittman reminds me of Mike Anderson in basketball. He took over a program that was struggling, that was really bad. It was at the bottom. It was embarrassing. And Mike Anderson took it to a level of respectability. Now, he could never quite get it over the hump, but it made it a more attractive job that Eric Musselman took it and then took it, to another level. And then that made it even more attractive to where John Calipari comes into Arkansas. So I do think Sam Pittman's kind of the Mike Anderson of basketball. He took them at the depths, the bottom. They couldn't win an SEC game. They were horrible. They were embarrassing. He took over that embarrassing, horrible program. And today, it's a lot better. They've gone to bowl games. They've won SEC games, and it didn't end the way, Hollywood ending. He would have retired this year. That was in the plans. He was going to retire and give them a little break on the buyout and just head off to Lake Hamilton. But, it's not a Hollywood script ending. But I do think Coach Pittman will be remembered for taking over a program. And look, he wasn't choice 1, 2, 3. There were a lot of people, they couldn't get to take that job. And there was a reason why, because it was a bad program. It was in a bad situation. He took that job and made it a better job for somebody else.
Just your opinion. So this is not even a Rhett Lashley topic specifically, but I'll just ask another follow-up. I believe that you can argue that virtually any SEC job and Big Ten to a smaller degree is basically better than any ACC or Big 12 job because of the stability that is in that league. And again, those leagues are just going to get the benefit of the doubt. 9-3 Alabama, there was a big push to get in over SMU last year, even though the committee basically said, hey, if you make the conference championship game and you're already in the playoff, we're not taking you out. I would bring it up because this isn't even a Rhett Lashley question, but I think there's something to, yes, the SEC is tougher, but I think most people in the industry are like, I want to get to the Big Ten. I want to get to the SEC because that is stable ground in an unstable world. Do you get that sense talking to people around the world of college sports?
Yeah, college coaches are competitive. You want to see how you do against the best, and the best is the SEC and the Big Ten. So, yeah, there's that value of going and competing against the best teams in the SEC and the best coaches in the SEC, and that helps you get some of the best players because you do play in the SEC. So when you're out there recruiting and it's between you and a Big 12 team or a ACC team, you're going to have a leg up. And let's face it, the SEC and the Big Ten are bringing in more money, and so they have more money to spend. They have bigger donors, and they open up the pocketbooks. And so, no, it's a very attractive job, and it doesn't mean it's for everybody. Not every coach wants to do that, but for the most part, coaches are competitive, and they want to see how they do against the best.
Couple more. You mentioned big donors involved. I'm just curious because you would know better than most. We saw the report that Jerry Jones is pushing for Rhett Lashley. I was just curious, how actually involved is Jerry Jones? I mean, everybody knows he played football there, whatever. I mean, I've never seen him at a game that's not at Jerry World, so I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just genuinely curious. Like, is it the convenient, well, he's a rich dude, he loves football, and he played at Arkansas, so he must be like on the phone with Hunter Yurachek nonstop, or is he? What is his actual relationship with the athletic department?
It's not known. We talk about that all the time. They've got this beautiful facility, and it's got his name and his wife's name on it. That's where it's kind of student center where all the athletes go and can study, and computer labs and everything. And they built that. I mean, that was a huge investment for their part. But as far as what they do every single year, as far as donations, I don't know what that is. But I know if I was the AD, I would be doing everything I could to get him involved even more. He'd be one of the guys I hit up. Yeah, you want him? Here's what we're going to need. I mean, we're going to have to buy him out. We're going to have to pay him. We're going to have to pay his assistants. We're going to have a better scouting department. We're going to have a better NIL fund. Look what they have at SMU. Why does he want to leave SMU for what he's got at Arkansas? We need your help. We'll make this happen, but we need you.
Interesting. Only real other question I have, you mentioned Mike Anderson to Musselman, who raised it to another level, and then John Calipari just makes it something that whatever. Do you, when I say whatever, for people who can't see or whatever, like I'm saying that in a positive way. Like Musselman's really great coach, but there's only one coach, Cal, and it's just different. When you win, when you lose, when he says something, when whatever. But as an unbiased observer from the outside, it feels like it's been just all PR is great PR. Now, when he started 0-5 in the SEC, another conversation. But then you make the Sweet 16, and it became a feel-good story. Do you get the sense that the success, and I think it's been a success, well, it remains to be seen, of the Cal hire, does that make, and again, it's so tough because I don't want to speak for you. I don't think we know who's even making the hire. But do we get the sense that makes everybody want to shoot for the stars? Say, if Cal will come here, if he'll do this, if he'll, whatever, why can't we go get Dabo or at least make the phone call? Why can't we get Gruden? It's like, I just feel like this is 7-8 years ago. Forget the NIL stuff. It's just, but Cal has made Arkansas just so relevant on a scale that I feel like is even different than anybody else. Does the school feel like we can do this in football too?
Well, and I can tell you from the fans' perspective is once you've done it once, it's like, why can't you do it again? Because who would have thought that Calipari would ever come to Arkansas? Who would have thought that was even possible? I mean, I can tell you firsthand when I first tweeted it, the responses that I got. I mean, I was getting ripped because I'm an idiot. That would never happen. Well, yeah, people believe that. Well, now because it's happened, it's not crazy to say, guys, you got to at least kick the tires on Saban. Is he sick of TV? Would he want to come back and just you got to kick the tires on Dabo? It doesn't sound as absurd now. But after that, you shot for the stars and got the moon in Calipari. So, yeah, if you've done it once, you know what you have at the University of Arkansas, and you know what you have in some of the donors. Why can't you try to rally them again and find an equivalent or something similar to Calipari and go out and shock the world? I mean, how crazy would that be? And that would be the selling point. If I'm Hunter Yurchek, guys, we've done this once. What if we did it again? What if we went out and just shocked the college football world? And then all of a sudden on our campus, we have Coach X in football, Calipari in basketball, Dave Van Horn in baseball. Are you kidding me? This is the opportunity we have right now. Let's come together, get your guys to come together. Let's get this chess fun and go surprise the college football world.
I was going to say, John Tyson, I know you're watching. Do you have you want to consult with Nick Saban on who he would go after as the head coach? It worked out well last time. I'm with you, and I'm very curious to see where this goes. Really quick, because I mentioned him, I am personally leading the Gruden Crusade, and I know that that makes me controversial. Okay, like half the internet loves me, half the internet hates me. The man said I would, quote, die to coach in the SEC. By the way, I think his second to last year with the Raiders, he went like 9-7, which is like going 15-2 anywhere else. And he just, he would just bring that interest and credibility. I keep saying on my show, I think everybody's a little sour on the NFL stuff because of Belichick. And it's like, this would not be Belichick. This would be star recruiter, huge brand, great in front of the camera. It doesn't mean it's going to work, but and again, it's tough because, again, I don't know if we know yet this second who's actually making the hire and if that person is in place. But do you believe that John Gruden will or maybe just will? And then if you want to share should or could, but do you think he will be or is a candidate legitimately for the job?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's go. All right.
I mean, John Daly was on the morning show this morning on the Buzz, and he said, that's his good friend. He's like, we got to make this happen. And, John Daly has the ears of a lot of important people. So I think the tires will be kicked and there will be some talks. And I've been told there is interest from Gruden's part. So I think there's something to it. Is it going to happen? I don't know. We're still a long ways from that. But once again, I'm not dismissive of that at all. If anything, I'm just like, will it work in college? Is it going to be a success? Well, we don't know. But then again, there are a lot of people, a lot of candidates that you just don't know if they're going to be successful. So unless it's somebody that's proven and they're ready to take it to another university. But no, it's not absurd. Not at all in the least bit. No, I think that, to put odds on it, I'd give it at least a 10% chance of happening. So it's not a super long shot. I'm not going to say like 1%. It may be even greater. It could be 25% chance. But I do think that is a route that they will look into.
Yeah, no, I right before we recorded the Little Rock Touchdown Club video came out of him saying, I would never do it before players were getting paid, but I know a bank with $27 billion and what did he say? Something to the effect, sign me up today or something like that. I guess, listen, we all want the big name. We all want the new thing. I guess I probably should wrap. What do you think Bobby Petrino actually has to do to keep the job? Because I do think there's a big percentage of people that I think everybody wants him to succeed to the point where he can keep the job. I have thoughts on what I think he needs to do to keep the job. What is your perspective on what he needs to do to keep the job?
Well, it's got to be a totally different looking team. The team that showed up at Notre Dame cannot show up at all against Tennessee, Texas A&M. The effort I'm talking about, the lack of effort on defense was just atrocious. If that team shows up, period, probably not. But if they're competitive, they play hard, with reckless abandon, and you're just like, these guys are trying. They're trying. They're giving effort. They care. If we see that, then he's got the possibility. But then they got to win too. I mean, you can't go out and do the same thing Pittman did and lose a couple of one-score games because nothing has really changed. So honestly, he's got to win some. I mean, I'm not saying go 5-2. Well, if he goes 5-2, give him the job. I mean, they got 7 games left. 5 are against ranked teams. So it's going to be tough. I mean, 4-3, 4-3. That's a 6-win season. You're going to a bowl game after this start. Then yeah, there's that definite possibility. And then the conversation 2-5, 3-4. What do you do there? It has a lot to do with the look of the team and if he's been able to change things in Fayetteville.
Yeah, my personal opinion is it feels like 4-3 bowl game. It'd be hard to say no because you're going to beat some teams that are going to make people happy. And I'll say this in defense. Now the offense looked good until the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame was whatever, but we're recording here obviously before Texas plays Florida, but Texas defense looks good. Offense is kind of LSU, sorry. Offense stinks. I'll just say it. Garrett Nussmeier stinks. Sorry, just saying it. Auburn, offense is not good. Like the games that I think even 3 weeks ago looked like, no. I mean, and I'm not saying it's easy to go to LSU and win, but like there are games now that feel much more manageable than they were. All right, Westmore, can hear him on Out of Bounds. By the way, tell us about the new YouTube channel. You're on this YouTube journey. Good luck. I say a small prayer for you every single night, but tell us more about your channel. You're crushing it, but tell us more about it. What you're doing over there, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's More Sports. Can you see the logo up there? Yeah, More Sports. Easy to find on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. Razorback fans know where I am. But yeah, if you're new, if I'm new to you, go look for me on YouTube. More Sports. We're on Monday through Friday. I get my focus. I get a bunch of former Razorbacks, just guys that I've been covering and I've created relationships. We had a bumper pool on Tuesday night. Wednesday night we had Hayden Henry, former Razorback linebacker, and tonight we Braylon Mitchell, another linebacker. Had 3 linebackers in a row, which is kind of fitting after the performance we saw from the defense.
I was gonna say we need them to suit up. They got any eligibility left or what, man?
They weren't very happy. They were ready for this Razorback defense to get back to way it should be, and not looking so effortless out there. So that's kind of what we do. And I talk a lot of Arkansas high school football. That was kind of my forte. I love high school football and covering these guys. And it's kind of how I got to know them. That's how I got to know Braylon Mitchell. That's how I got to know Hayden Henry, covering those guys in high school. But yeah, we're Monday through Friday, usually in the evenings. And of course, we're going to do post-game Razorback shows, and it'll just continue through basketball with the Razorback basketball. But yeah, it is Monday through Friday, usually some Saturdays thrown in. Heck, Parker Romo, I had a contact with him, the Atlanta Falcons kicker that, Sunday Night Football, got introduced to his teammates. I had a connection with him and I did a Sunday morning show with Parker Romo. But yeah, we're just talking Arkansas sports, man. Anyway, we can find a way to get involved with Arkansas sports. I love it, man. But go check me out.
You should have gone live from the tailgate on Saturday. That would have drawn a interesting crowd.
Honestly,
or did you?
Well, the week before the Memphis game, I went live for a post-game show at a Dallas Razorback alumni party.
Okay.
And Chris Gregg, the former Razorback tight end, played with the Buffalo Bills. He joined me for that show. And I was planning to go live from the tailgate party, but it was so bad. It was just so bad. And I knew I had some guests that were going to come by and join me, but I knew that they weren't going to come. And it was just going to be me solo talking about that mess. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go have a drink and I'm going to be a fan. And we'll talk about this later. And sure enough, I had to do a special show Sunday after Pittman was fired. So we made up for it.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I can imagine that it wouldn't have been very fun to do the tailgate show on Saturday. But all right, More Sports on YouTube, and of course, Out of Bounds Monday through Friday on the Buzz. So I join you there pretty regularly. You haven't hit me in a while, but it's actually good. You shouldn't hit me because you have so much to talk about. You don't need guests to fill up with BS. People can get my BS anywhere. So it seems like a crazy. And by the way, basketball this weekend starts, so I'm excited. I know Razorbacks fans are too.
Tomorrow night, prime time in the Palace. Bud Walton.
I will not.
I did that. I knew this was running Thursday, and
it is running Thursday. We're recording Tuesday, but yes, Friday night. Is it prime time at the Palace?
Prime time in the Palace, something like that.
It's good though. It's good. I'm excited, man. Cal pushed this whole Midnight Madness thing. I thought he might actually pull off something at midnight, but it all worked out.
8:30, I believe it is.
Yes. All right. Wes Moore, More Sports. Check him out Monday through Friday on More Sports on YouTube and streaming, and then also on The Buzz Monday through Friday, 1 to 4 Central. Wes, we appreciate the time. Next coaching search, we'll have you on. I mean, if you haven't already broken the news and people are bored with it already, I mean, no big deal. We should do I was thinking too, we should do a mean tweets with Wes Moore. We should find the original tweet and then just the responses. That would be fun. But all right.
Ugly.
All right. Monday through Friday with Wes. Check him out. Wes, appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, man. Take care.